So let's start with Charlotte Perriand, a card-carrying communist. She was a card-carrying communist. Wow. For Romanians, this is not a good thing. We hate communism, but there were some important intellectuals who were proud communists, even Picasso, even Jean-Paul Sartre. And now we learn that even Charlotte Perriand, but what they imagined about communism was different from what we went through, at least partially. Anyway, here she was, this very important architect and designer who tried to convince Le Corbusier that she was worthy of attention, and Le Corbusier, with his masculinism in a way, initially he dismissed her, and then when she insisted and so on, initially he dismissed her because he said to her, you know, we don't hire, you could only work with the textiles and, you know, like interior design and so on. It was a misconception from Le Corbusier, actually, but he changed his mind afterwards and he hired her. And it seems that some of his furniture was actually designed by this lady, this communist with a card, Charlotte Perriand. But those pieces of furniture, very important, you know, they acknowledge, well, they used to acknowledge only Le Corbusier himself. In the meantime, in the present, people know that Charlotte Perriand had a very important role in his office. So let's read a little bit. Charlotte Perriand, you see, she was born on October 24th, 1903, and died in October 27th in 1999. So she lived a long life, 96 years. Was a French architect and designer. Her work aimed to create functional living spaces in the belief that better design helps in creating a better society. I like this. So she had social concerns, not only aesthetical. In her article, L'Art de Vivre from 1981, she states, the extension of the art of dwelling is the art of living, living in harmony with man's deepest drives and with his adopted or fabricated environment. Charlotte Perriand, the design visionary who survived Le Corbusier's put-downs, which I refer to, that indeed Le Corbusier tried to put her down, and she insisted, in the end he hired her, and in the end she proved herself, even after, or maybe even more after the death of Le Corbusier. But here they are together. You know, the kind of strangely looking Le Corbusier on the left, of course, and on the right, the young, the much younger Charlotte Perriand. Perriand on her chaise-longue basculante in 1928. So let's see again, she was born in 1903, so in 1928 she was 25 years old, and it seems she designed actually this famous chaise-longue, which is you know, known as being designed by Le Corbusier, but some research and some efforts from some people seem to say that actually it was mainly designed by this lady, by Charlotte Perriand. So we see her here without seeing her face at 25, you know, testing the famous chaise-longue by Le Corbusier. Well, with a question mark. Miami Beach House. The truth is, you know, there were important ladies in architecture and design who are not or were not sufficiently acknowledged. Some of them wives of architects, like the two wives that Alvar Aalto had, and they lived in the shadow of the famous husband, but they had an important role in the activity of the famous husband. So, lately the role of these women is beginning to be acknowledged in a more and more, truthful and significant way. This is a Miami Beach house that she designed, but this was rebuilt by a famous, I think Armani rebuilt it, if I'm not mistaken. So this is a new building based on the plans, the drawings of Charlotte Perriand. It was built in Miami, and it is an homage to her. An interesting building indeed, and I'm glad that it was rebuilt. Well, it's a showcase now, but imagine that, at one point a similar building, if not an identical building, was not just a showcase, was actually used. She loved wood, and we are going to see the presence of wood in some of her works, but she also loved metal. And she was able to be even futuristic in her designs. The furniture here was designed by her, but was rebuilt, as I said. I think Armani rebuilt this building after her death. If you are interested, if you like her work, you can purchase a lamp designed by Charlotte Perriand. You can find them on eBay. They're not so expensive. Some of them were mass produced by Philips. Nice pieces actually. Now, I don't know if those clothes belong to her or not. Maybe they are just a decor to show, to mimic the use of the building. Look at this. This is, in a way, Le Corbusier invention, but maybe she designed it too. The idea to have a bulb, just a blank bulb, if I can say so, at the end of a metallic piece that brings the electricity in, is an interesting one, I think. This is the power of art, and this is the power of architecture. If something is done, significantly, sooner or later, even if the building is destroyed, it might be rebuilt by someone who is sympathetic towards your efforts. And, I like this continuity and the fact that there is a conjunction of efforts, that you had a designer, architect who designed the building, then later on a famous designer comes in with the power of fame and money and rebuilds the building. So there is a continuum, and even some kind of a collaboration over time. Now, why it was built in Miami and not in France, I don't know, but it's good that it was rebuilt, so we can have a glimpse at the work of Charlotte Perriand. I like also this idea, to have a secondary bed that slides underneath the storage space or the cabinets. It's a good idea. If you have, guests, you have an additional bed which conveniently can come out from underneath the storage space. I like even these chairs, these so-called archaic or primitive, just some pieces of wood, but why not? They might not be the most comfortable things on earth, but it's okay. Charlotte Perriand. a fresh spirit. She loved the mountains. We are going to see a hotel she built and also uh, a refuge, futuristic building which could find its place on the moon as well. Les Arcs, 1800. This is the building. It was not built in 1800s, but it was built in the 20th century. Maybe that's the number of the build. I mean, the number on the street, if there is a street. This is the building. She loved the mountain, and we are going to see many pictures of this building because I was lucky to, or unlucky, to find a link, a website which had a detailed, review of the building. It's a good building, it's, maybe not extremely, it's not really shocking, but the fact that it is slanted and also the land, the earth is also slanted, it creates these strange, perhaps, visual effects. Charlotte Perriand, and she did this, after some good years, after Le Corbusier died. I think Le Corbusier died in 1965, if I'm not mistaken. Swimming towards the sun in the Mediterranean Sea. Some people seem to think that he committed suicide, but we don't know. He was swimming at 78 towards south, towards the sun, when he had, I don't know, heart attack, and, he died in his beloved Mediterranean Sea, not far away from his beautiful, in my opinion, Le Cabanon, which in my opinion is more important as architecture than Villa Savoie. I know some people would protest, but that's what I think and feel. But he is celebrated for Villa Savoie, which I think is a rather, for my taste, a little bit a frigid building with its excessive whiteness. Even Bernard Tschumi criticized Villa Savoie. Villa Savoie was almost demolished, and it was neglected and vandalized and abandoned immediately after the war. And Bernard Tschumi said in one of his manifestos, what is the most architectural thing about this building, I'm talking about Villa Savoie, is the state of neglect it is or it was in. Anyway, this is perhaps also the maybe predictable in a way protest of the son against the father. Now, of course, Le Corbusier was not the father of Bernard Tschumi, but professionally, so to speak, in a way, he was, as he was the father of many people, maybe including Charlotte Perriand. Again, I'm talking about the father figure. Anyway, this is the building we are going to see other pictures of this building by Charlotte Perriand. As I said, she loved the mountain. And now we arrive at an insider's tour of the French ski resort Charlotte Perriand designed in the 60s and 70s. Well, maybe she began it while Le Corbusier was still alive, but she was not working for him any longer. Anyway, we are going to see many pictures. This building is not, I mean, it could have been perhaps designed by someone else, but it was designed by Charlotte Perriand. I like this. I don't know exactly what the function of this is. Is it a chapel of some sort, or I don't know. She designed both this building and this one. And now views of the inside of the building. She was in good measure an interior designer, but an architect does everything, does object design, does interior design, does urbanism, does buildings, it's not a contradiction. And now I don't know if she designed this piece here. Maybe she did. she didn't design this lamp either. You know, I used to have such a lamp, and you know, many architects and students had it. It's a famous classic design for someone laboring at the drafting board. But she designed probably this, you know, what I know of her designs. This is, you know, you can almost make something like this of what is called in Romanian palettes. You know, well, the round pieces of wood you have to procure from somewhere else, but otherwise, and you need two pillows and that's it. It works, at least to an extent. The kitchenette, you know, equipped properly, probably there in the mountain, a lamp. Maybe she designed this lamp, kind of interesting, you know, is with the light emanating on the sides and through another rather narrow space. The door, a door. She loved the circle as well, Charlotte Perriand. What I see here in the foreground reminds me a little bit of the school that Jean Renaudy, a countryman, designed at Ivry-sur-Seine. Another door or doorway. And I like the fact that, you know, it's you can see how it was made in a way. And, you know, the fact that the piece of wood also has cracks, it's okay. I don't think it's a sin. The truth is, as an architect, you can invent, you know, from the smallest detail to the largest building, there is room for creativity. A staircase and, you know, door handles or anything you can, if you love architecture, you can manifest that love in so many ways. Interesting, this space inside, you know, it's too bad that the picture I found is a little bit slanty to the left. But I also like the fact that she was not shy to, you know, paint. Well, maybe some people would say it's sacrilegious to paint wood and to paint it in blue, but I don't know. I like this interior here. I don't like very much the picture, but I mean, I like the picture, but I don't know why the photographer didn't see that it's falling a little bit to the left, but maybe I'm too pedantic. This is also, this could have been almost a detail in a building by Alvarado, almost. It's not bad. You know, the whiteness of probably concrete or masonry even is possible, and the brownness of wood. And there is a little bit of, you know, symphony here. Well, maybe the word is too generous, symphony. It's a little bit of something musical here. As it is also here, you know, there are these ramps which are kind of interesting. I don't know because I didn't see the plans of the building and the sections. I should have searched for them, but I didn't. But what I see here is also interesting, maybe some kind of an inside or interior mountain or mount within the building. Then colors, well, 60s and 70s, that's the spirit. There is optimism here, and colors, doesn't look like an elitist building. It looks like a building with that. It looks like the building of a French architect who had the card of a communist. I see some communal concerns here, and I'm actually happy because I think architects often sell their soul for the very rich, because that's where the money comes from. So I don't think there are so many architects. Well, there were in the past, but since the collapse of communism in 1989, I don't think too many architects entertain, you know, communistic ideals or longings. We see here a French lady, who was a communist with a card. Interesting. It only shows she actually had a genuine desire, for serving society at all strata, at all levels, and not just the rich, not only the elite, not only the bankers, not only the great financiers, not only the big corporations and so on, but real people, and I like this. I wish there were more architects like this, even that might mean building less. It's a good building, I would say. Maybe not very, very spectacular, but it's okay. What is spectacular is the mountain. The mountains are magnificent. They are beautiful. And why should a building compete with them? No, it shouldn't. Now, a mountain shelter, a refuge, the refuge or refuge tonneau, as it is called. This is, like a full-scale model, and it was meant also for the mountains, something to be, you know, placed, in various locations, in the mountains, a refuge. The interior is also interesting. Everything is designed, and there were, of course, buildings built like this, pavilions like this, refuge or otherwise. I can think of Buckminster Fuller, but not only him. Anyway, it's also interesting, this conjunction between wood and metal. And everything inside is made in order to maximize the space as much as possible. In other words, to use the space as much as possible. And I think she was successful. I don't know if I remember correctly, but I think she made this building to accommodate 16 people or so, and it's very, very small. But look, everything is very creative, and yeah, here we have this strange thing, so to speak, industrial looking. You look at the building and the background, and then you look at this thing that Charlotte Perriand did, and then no, I was wrong, not 16, 8, from 8 to 10, but still, I mean, this was small. I mean, was maybe the diameter, when we see the silhouette of that man, is 4 meters. To be able to accommodate 8 people or 10, even in that very small, concentrated. This is concentrated architecture, so to speak, literally speaking. Yeah, here is the plan. I mean, you see the door, which is, yeah, it's something for, very efficient, to bring aid, to save from the, the difficulties of a cold climate, 8 to 10 people. Again, I think a generous idea. And she did it. Here she is in a, rather provocative picture, but it shows that she loved the mountains. And here is the refuge. This is this is something that I would like to underline, that an architect, even if he or she doesn't have commissions, no one can stop you from thinking, from drawing, from writing. You know, you can invent your own raison d'etre. And the creative architects always did this. Le Corbusier didn't have commissions for almost 10 years, and he wanted to revolutionize, as you know, Paris, and so he worked on La Ville Radieuse. Frank Lloyd Wright worked for Broadacre City, also for almost 10 years, because the Puritanistic North Americans didn't like his so-called romantic escapades, that he left his wife and his children and went with someone's wife to Italy, and then North America punished him, and then, you know, he had he didn't have as many commissions as he used to, so he worked for Broadacre City. So, you know, if you love architecture, you work with commissions or without commissions. You can work on competitions, although Frank Lloyd Wright didn't like to work for competitions. In fact, he was very proud of saying, I don't like doing competitions because I cannot allow a committee, meaning the jury, to decide if my work is good or not. And I see the point, indeed. Nice piece of work here that Charlotte Perriand did, you know. It is, and I'm sure it brought her satisfaction, you know, because, you know, she designed everything. It's a microclimate here, micro universe. Everything, every square inch is important. You know, to bring in 8 to 10 people, they would have had fun, I'm sure. And this is, you know, here, just here, you can house, I mean, you know, for sleeping, I see here 2 almost like tatamis. I don't know, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe here 5 people at the top, and then at the bottom other 3. Maybe we should all live like this, you know, then we will not ravish the earth with our giant mansions and all the rest, all that nonsense which kills nature. But for this, you need a different conception about life, you know, indeed, more communistic. But joyously so. I think she also, she was I don't know if she was a hedonist, but I think she enjoyed life, and that's why the gods or God granted her a very long life, you know, not dying at 96 or so. Anyway, Siège Pivotant, Musée des Arts Décoratifs, Paris, 1927. So this used to be known as being designed by Le Corbusier. Well, apparently Charlotte Perriand designed it. Is it nice? I don't know. I mean, you know, aesthetically, maybe it's not very, very impressive, but it is a Siège Pivotant, 1927. Then Chaise Longue by Charlotte Perriand and Le Corbusier. Can you imagine? Her name is placed in front of Le Corbusier's name. This is probably a more recent naming. In fact, we talked about Villa Savoie. Well, we are looking at a picture with Villa Savoie, the interior of Villa Savoie. And this is a well-known, you know, furniture piece within the villa, a chaise longue by Le Corbusier and Charlotte Perriand, or should we say Charlotte Perriand and Le Corbusier. This happened also with Miss van der Rohe. Miss van der Rohe had a lady friend, so to speak. They were lovers for many years. Lily Reich, who also designed, apparently she designed the furniture for the Barcelona pavilion, and you know, some pieces of furniture that Miss apparently designed were actually designed by Lily Reich, and when they broke off, the activity of a great designer of Miss ended. and so, there were these ladies in the shadow who were very important in the career, in the trajectory of, we are talking about stars here, Le Corbusier and Miss Van der Rohe. But they didn't work alone, and sometimes the women in the shadow did much more than it was acknowledged. Interior design, furniture of Charlotte Perriand. Let's look at it. So these were clearly, her work. Independently, she worked here from Le Corbusier. I don't know for how many years she worked with Le Corbusier. I don't know, maybe 10 years, or I don't know. I should not add a number, but she had a long life. So, she created outside of the sphere of influence of her more famous father figure. Lamp designs, as I mentioned, this actually I found myself on eBay. You could have bought it for $60 or so. Yeah, if you like it, you can offer it as a present to someone or to yourself. You can find it. Just type in lamp Charlotte Perriand, and these were produced for Philips in the Netherlands, so mass produced. This is another lamp by her. So yes, when you have imagination and passion for architecture and design and so on, even if you don't build them, no one can stop you from making the design, making the projects. This is nice in its simplicity, actually. Charlotte Perriand. The same lamp we saw before, but with a bulb, uh, a special bulb, it seems. Now, furniture designs, shelves for books. Nice, maybe not, extremely spectacular, but they show sensitivity. There is colorfulness. There are some cantilever parts there, which probably wouldn't admit too many books there, but it depends. The whole kitchen, small, communistic in a way, prefabricated and ready to be used, to be transported wherever there was a need. Chair design. Here is one of them. Bad, actually. And I like the slight asymmetry. It is symmetrical, but not totally. This one we saw. This one rotates, it's pivotal. This one is also interesting. Of course, it needs some kind of cushions there because, otherwise you might not be able to get up if you try to sit on that thing, but it's good, I would say. Charlotte Perriand, objects and furniture design. This is the cover of a book on her. Here we see it's a variation of the so-called, Le Corbusier chaiselongue. L'aventure japonaise, like other modern architects, she was, appreciative of Japan, and Japan in return was appreciative of her. So I think I think she even lived if I remember now, lived for a few years in Japan. She had a tumultuous life in a way. I should renew my knowledge about her life a little bit, maybe for the next presentation.